Yeah, fascinating. Nick Payne-Walsh with us on the show. We also joined, thank you, Nick, by one of the people who tried to bring this to an end. Matthew Bryza is a former US mediator in the dispute over the area, Nagorno Karabakh. He joins us from what looks like a very beautiful Istanbul today. It's a pleasure having you on. Are we further than ever from peace? Just help us get some context on all of this, if you will, Matthew.
Sure, and Becky, it's great to be with you. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I think we are further from peace than since 1994, when the ceasefire was brokered by Russia to end the Nagorno Karabakh war. But how the heck did we get here? When I was the mediator at that time, there was an agreement in principle between the then president of Armenia, Sargsyan, and then the current president of Azerbaijan, Ilham Aliyev, on a framework. It was an agreement in principle, but on a framework with several key factors that was a logical way forward. And what the president said at the time was, but we have some very, some important details we still have to finalize. Those details never got finalized. So when Armenia's new prime minister after the Velvet Revolution came into power, Nikol Pashinyan, he was a fresh voice. He had real rapport with President Aliyev, and there was optimism. Things were going to move forward. In fact, after their first meeting in late 2018, both leaders made a joint announcement saying, we need to prepare our people for peace. But in the subsequent year, I think Prime Minister Pashinyan has been under terrible political pressure at home, unable to consolidate his Velvet Revolution. And he's reversed himself and says he no longer favors those principles preliminarily agreed. And I think Azerbaijan is frustrated. And who shot first, we'll never know. But I think that both sides had been moving heavy weapons and armored vehicles toward this line of contact for the last few weeks. And a fuse was lit, and we are where we are now. And it is far from peace. And I think the fighting's going to continue until either Armenia stops Azerbaijan's operations or Azerbaijan consolidates the positions it's gained so far.
So you argued in an op-ed for the Atlantic Council that, and I quote you here, it may fall to Ankara and Moscow to fill a diplomatic vacuum and convince their respective allies to return to the negotiating table. Following on from Nick's analysis, is this a time when Russia and Turkey would be prepared to sort of come together to try and find a solution to this? And a second question to you, sir. You must have contacts at state in the US. We've seen a sort of statement from Mike Pompeo on this. Is this something that the US has any real interest in at all? What's their position?
Well, Becky, those two questions are interrelated, and the answer I'm going to give to your second question helps answer your first one. So traditionally, the United States has had a lot of interest in what happens in the South Caucasus, and particularly in the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict, for a lot of reasons, besides strictly not wanting to see loss of life. I mean, there's strategic infrastructure that passes from Azerbaijan near Nagorno-Karabakh into Turkey and onward to Europe. This is energy, oil and gas pipelines, driven largely by BP, by the way. It's rail transport, road transport. It's an air corridor that the U.S. relied on during the war in Afghanistan, and they're fiber optic cables. So there are interests at play. But this time around, the Trump administration has not been focusing on this conflict. Neither did the Obama administration, frankly. I think the high point of focus was in the George W. Bush administration. So that's the point of that op-ed you're so kind to cite. If the U.S. is not there to participate, there's a vacuum. The Minsk group, which is co-led by the United States, Russia, and France, can't really do a lot, I think, if the U.S. isn't really engaged. So de facto, you've got Russia that's supporting Armenia, and you've got Turkey that has long supported Azerbaijan under the mantra, we are one nation and two states. So that vacuum, I think, is being filled as we speak by Russia and Turkey.
This is fascinating. It's always a pleasure having you on. Your insight and analysis is absolutely invaluable. I'm going to have to take a break at the bottom of this hour, so I'm going to leave it there for the time being. If this continues, we'll have you back. Thank you, sir.
Okay.